All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for the little brief delay. Just having some technical issues right now, but we'll be go ahead and ready to get started now. I want to thank you for joining our afternoon session, our Thursday session with the Investment Dominator. Primarily, what we're going to be talking about today is all of our advanced questions. Let me go ahead and start up the presentation. All right. So when you're joining this session, just make sure that you are connected with your computer audio if you are using a laptop. You will have also the option to join with an external headset. Let's say if you want to go ahead and test that, you'll see on the option here within this window, you can click on test speaker and microphone. Along with that, if you want to go ahead and communicate with me directly on the stream, you can go ahead and use the Q&A option as well as the chat feature as well too. You don't really have to worry about raising your hand, as I'll primarily be looking right at the Q&A as well as the chat. So we'll be able to take in any questions that you want to go ahead and break down on today's call. And also just keep in mind that all of these sessions are being recorded and they will be posted onto the user guide as well. All right, so now we have our LPG deal flow, and this is something that we really want to bring up when we're talking about understanding the deal flow process of the Investment Dominator. You'll see here, we start off with that target market, and then we go ahead and get a contact list of landowners, and we'll possibly filter through that list as well, so that we can go ahead and begin to mail our letters and start talking to sellers. From that point, anybody who reaches out back to us, we'll go ahead and take those properties and move them to your pending preliminary research. And then we'll go ahead and head up to mailing out those offers, maybe even doing some option agreements. So you can go ahead and shift those properties to open escrow, do even more detailed research, so that we have our two last steps here. First one being you'll be able to market the property with or without owner financing. And last but not least, you'll be able to go ahead and just sell that property and close and get paid. So a lot of what we talk about on the Monday call is really getting you set up for that preparation for the mailing. But specifically on this Thursday call, we're going to go ahead and break down some more advanced topics regarding that. I'm also going to go ahead and open out a poll. Go ahead and answer this. It'll pop up within Ring Central, I believe. It's going to be a survey with 2 questions asking you, are you new to the Investment Dominator, and also which feature you would like to see discussed on during the session. So I'll go ahead and launch that now. Go ahead and take the time to just answer that. It'll give me a rough gauge of really what we're going to focus on today. But also, if you do have any questions about specifically something that you want to go over, you can just put that directly in the chat. So what we're seeing here is that on the left-hand side, you're seeing all this information which is coming from you. This will be the company information, as well as your county data information, offer requests, whether that be through by phone or by website. We have property details, tasks, and down below on the left-hand side, we have prospects, leads, and buyers, transaction information, and lead tracking information. So all of this is coming from you. You're putting that into the Investment Dominator, and then what you're able to output, what you'll see pointing in right arrows, are your letters, your offers. We talk about our 2 websites on Monday, but primarily that'll be the buying and the selling site. We do have calculators and tools for when you're ready to go ahead and start crafting those offers, as well as some analytics and team management. So we're going to go ahead and break down any questions that come up today, and we're going to talk about some of the topics that are also coming up in our polls and any questions that we had from our last Monday session. All right, so as always, just remember that when this stream does end, there is an Investment Dominator feedback survey that's sent out. It'll primarily ask you for your name as well as your account email address, and how really what you would say your skill level is entering into real estate investment. So just go ahead and take the time to go ahead and fill that out. If you do have any feedback that you would recommend for the Investment Dominator, we greatly appreciate it, and we do review that to be able to make our next updates for the system. But all right, so that'll go ahead and end this slideshow here. Let's go ahead and now just start off with the Investment Dominator. I'm going to go ahead and also end the polling. So polling, it looks like we have some new users coming on here on our advanced session. So if this is your first time, welcome. And we do have some veteran users as well who have been on this Thursday call. So just kind of going over what we're going to be talking about. We're going to try to find really relevant information to all types of skill groups joining this call. So you could come out of this making sure that you've at least learned something. But again, if you have questions specifically about a topic, you can go ahead and put that in the chat and we'll cover that for you. It looks like the feature that kind of won for this polling is latest integrations, and we have custom documents as second. So based on our feedback from our last call on Monday, it looks like also there was a question about the latest integration. So what we're going to do now is just spend some time talking to you about some integrations with the Investment Dominator. And we're going to see, you know, if this would be something good for your business, or if this would potentially be something that you would need to research further before we determine that. So we'll go ahead and break that down today on this call. We did get a question here. It was submitted anonymously, but the question is it possible to have two signatures in the Investment Dominator? For example, mine and my partner's. So that's a good question. And really, as far as it goes, within the Investment Dominator by default, you would have to pick one person. So whoever's signature you would want, you know, if that would be yours, if you're that main admin of the account, or if your partner is also the main admin, just keep in mind it would have to be one. But it is possible to have two of these signatures. And I think the best way to describe this is if we go into customize, and I have some custom documents here that'll kind of show this off. But essentially you would go to a custom document, you would begin to work on this. So let's say we have over here, we have a neutral letter, I believe. Let me check the document preview. Okay, so here's just a neutral letter that I went ahead and created a while ago, and this is primarily used for the demonstration purpose of adding a logo. So if I go back here and I go to edit my document, this is my custom neutral letter I'm working with here. Now when I click on edit, if you're not seeing this screen before, what you're going to go ahead and notice is that you're going to see these merge fields that are associated with your letter that you're generating. Now, at any point, you can go ahead and add more additional content. So you'll see that I have here the My Signature merge field. This should be found just by inserting this merge field here. You would just scroll down and you would basically search and you'll see your signature here. Now, since you are, you know, one user or one admin on the account, when you would go ahead and use the merge field for your signature, only your signature would pop up there. So as we saw in the document preview, my signature is an image here. So if you keep that in mind, you can also include another signature, but this one, instead of using the merge field, you would just go ahead and attach a photo. I think this would be the best method for you to go ahead and just have two signatures on your letter. And we'll see here, I'll go ahead and choose a file. I'll go to a file on my desktop. I have, excuse me, I have a sample signature here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that and open that and then send it to the server, and I'll see my preview here. Now, the great thing about this too is that you can go ahead and change the width. So let's say if you want to make it a little bit smaller, let's say we're aiming for something 150 pixels wide, and let's go ahead and say OK. So we'll see the two signatures pop up here, and what you could do is actually you could just have your two photos of the signature instead of using the merge field. But let me go ahead and show you what this looks like now. So I'm going to go ahead and do a document preview. And just showing you what the two signatures look like. Again, you'll probably have to edit some of the formatting here just to get it how you want, but it is entirely possible to have two signatures on this. Also, if you are using the wizards, so our wizard option, I do believe on the send letters wizard, which would be this one here, there is a position where you can go ahead and edit this. Let me just double check. Okay, so this is where in the wizard, so it's about step 4 that we're on right now. And it's asking, you know, would you like to generate letters under your profile or another team member's profile? So, you know, normally you would have to just pick one of the signatures that you would want to go ahead and work with. But let's say if your partner would like to generate letters but have this under your name, you can use someone else on your team instead, or you can do my profile. So if this is your partner, you might want to do someone else on my team, and then they'll use the main admin. But if you are the main admin of your account, you'll just click on my profile here. All right. So hopefully that does help you. We're going to go ahead and now just break down one of our integrations that we're going to talk about. And the first one that we're going to talk about now is the outside data service integration. So for those of you who don't know what that is entirely, we can go here to the help within the top right next to log out, and we'll go to user guide. You're going to see, if you go ahead and type outside data service, this will bring up a series of articles here under this main article here. So it's called New Outside Data Service Integration Feature. And if you scroll down, you're basically going to see how you can find out more information, but just also get a gist of what's kind of happening here. So we have this article on how to enable the integration. Now, if you click on that, you're going to see we try to make this as step-by-step for you to understand exactly how this is happening. So for example, here's an overview of how our optional paid data service add-on works. Basically, you sign up for the subscription, you sign up for a monthly allotment of credits, you go ahead and select the state and choose the filters that you want to import, and you request those records. And all the records that are accepted will go ahead and import into your system directly. All right, and we have here, you know, just more about the pricing of the service. We do have 3 tiers currently right now. So the first one is this $47 a month tier, which will give you 470 monthly record credits. And this one here, 97 a month, that'll give you 1385 monthly record credits. And last but not least, this one for 147, and this will give you 2450 monthly record credits. All right, so with that being said, you can go ahead and actually just go to land, import, get data, and you'll be able to sign up for the integration right through there. But just keep in mind, you know, if you do need more than what's required, or what should I say, more than what we have. So for example, the highest one that we offer is the 2450 record credits per month. If you need something higher than that, you can go ahead and contact our sales team, and they'll go ahead and craft a plan for you that will meet your needs. But so that's just really what you want to go ahead and read to get started. I also recommend you go ahead here onto this article and review the FAQ. Primarily with the FAQ, we just want to go ahead and inform everyone about um, some of the features that are included in the Investment Dominator and some of them that are not. So for example, if you were already using data tree outside of the Investment Dominator, you're probably using a yearly contract rather than with this integration, it is a monthly fee. So, these are the things that you want to go ahead and read through this list to make sure that this is the correct integration for you. Yeah, so go ahead and just check that out. There is more information about, how to go ahead and use the integration correctly so you don't get any mixed up data or anything like that. That is something that you would definitely want to check this FAQ out for. But just with all this being said, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick demonstration of importing these records. And normally I would do this by going to land and import and then beginning that process. It seems that a lot of new users that are joining onto the Investment Dominator are kind of skipping over these wizards. So I would like to spend some time just to highlight this fact for a little bit more. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and use our wizards. We're going to do the first one here. This one is called Find Deals. Now, when we go ahead and click on this wizard, it looks like I was already active on this, so I do not want to continue my progress. All right, so it's going to go ahead and ask me to generate a targeted prospect land list to find deals. Now, once you have the integration already set up within your system, what you're going to notice is that you can go ahead and just click this button here to use the integrated third-party data service. Now, once you do this, this will be a similar setup screen to how the data tree screens already are, but you'll see just it's more in a wizard format now. So I have the option to either load a criteria or generate a new land list. If I'm loading a criteria, this is going to be something where I have previously imported from that criteria before, and I want to do a second import of that specific county that I was working on. I would just go over here and load my criteria. Since this is a new county and first time working with this, I'll go ahead and generate a new land list. So it'll ask me questions similar to the outside data service integration that we have already within the Investment Dominator. Again, just a wizard format. So it'll choose what state. I'm going to go ahead and choose Arizona. What county am I interested in? I'll choose a random one. Let's choose Gila. So here I'm going to see some more filter options that do come up. So for example, we have market value here. If I wanted to find properties within a range of 5,000 to, let's say, about 380,000, something like that, around there, we could do that. If I wanted to get more acres, I could also do that too. You're going to see this option. If you want to include owners with multiple properties, you can say yes or no to that. And go ahead and say no. Excluded state owners, I'll just leave that by default. And let's see if I want to change anything else here. So ownership type, instead of both, I'm going to just choose individuals. And again, this is the type of options that you have to really choose before you go ahead and import from a specific county. There are more options here, but I think I'm pretty good with this, so I'll just go ahead and get my estimated record count. Now, so what we're going to see now is this estimated record count. And if you hover over this option, one thing you want to keep in mind is that this is an estimation, and this number really may differ from the final imported records that are in your system. So just keep that in mind. So for example, if you keep coming back to the same county, you'll notice that this estimated record number doesn't change. So you just want to keep that in mind. You may have exhausted the amount of records that you can import, depending on if you have already been to that county. So basically at that point, it might be time to go ahead and choose a different county for you to work on. But for example, this is our first time here importing with this. There's 13, 15 records here. Currently have about 1,000 records available. So that's something we want to keep in mind. Every month, this number will reset back to the number that we originally purchased for our monthly subscription. So just keep that in mind. That'll go ahead and reset by itself. So we want to make sure we use all of the available credits that we have during a monthly cycle. I'm going to go ahead and import, let's go ahead and do 15. You do have the option to go ahead and tag your records. Now, just speaking upon this, tagging your records is different from saving your criteria. So tagging your records is so that you'll go ahead and be able to find them later in your system by searching for the tag. So for example, for this tag, I'm going to go ahead and do 512, and I'll add this. And once it's in this format here down at the bottom, that's when we know that that tag is finalized and done. So we can ensure that these records can be located later on. Also, I'm going to go ahead and save the criteria. This is the first time I'm importing from this county, so this would be a good time to just make sure that I save all of the specific criteria that I have set up. And if I want to go back into this county again to be able to get some records, I can just pull up this criteria. So I'm going to call it just 512 and AZ for my criteria. I'll save that. And I'll just get a confirmation message that my criteria was saved. I'll go ahead and close that. And now we're good to go. So what I'm going to do is just import these 15 records here. And then we'll wait for that. So all right, so we have here from our wizard, let's see, there were 15 records requested, 15 records were successfully imported, 0 records were not imported, but it looks like we had 1 record imported with bad data. So that's something that we'll need to go ahead and verify, but looks like here we have about 1,000 record credits remaining, which is how much we have left after importing the 15. If you'll see here that because we're using the wizard, you can actually click on this individual record that says, let's see here, during the review process, we found 1 record that appears to have incomplete data. Would you like to manually review these records and attempt to fix them? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, I'll review it. So let's go ahead and see here. So we have APN, we have property county, looks like we have mailing address, the name. So, all right, so what we're missing here is the mailing state as well as mailing city, and it looks like mailing zip down below. So this is still a record that I think would be good to keep. We could also inquire more about this later. So I'm going to wipe out all this null information and just accept the record. All right, so it looks like everything else was good in that terms. Now, what you're going to see is that directly after you finish the wizard where you're importing the records, you come down here to this button down below and it says, yes, let's send some letters. So I could click on that and that'll bring me to the next wizard, which is now send letters. So in terms of integrations, we talked about our outside data service integration. Now let's go ahead and wrap this up with our REI Printmail integration. So to find more information about this, I'm just going to type in the keyword, REI should work as well too. So this article here, new REI Printmail direct integration. This is going to be exactly how our outside data service integration article is made. It's going to give you an article of how to enable the integration, how to generate a campaign, and any favorite asked questions directly around this topic. So you might want to start off with how to enable the integration. It's quite simple, but there's a couple things you have to keep in mind. For example, you can't set up your account directly with REI Printmail direct.com. You would have to actually create your account within the Investment Dominator. So just keep that in mind. But primarily the process is just going ahead and writing down a good email that you want to go ahead and use for your REI account. writing in a good username for you to go ahead and log in, as well as a password. After that, you'll just generate your API key and you'll be all set up to go ahead and start using the integration. So also, what we had mentioned earlier about checking your email, REI is going to send you an email for how to go ahead and check out your orders, and really just be able to see your account settings as well within that email that they send you. So just be on the lookout for that if you go ahead and sign up for the first time. But after you have that set up, you'll be good to go ahead and generate your campaign. And this article here just really explains the process even further. We're going to try to attempt this now, and we'll see. What I can say is that sometimes the loading is a little bit long if you're using a big mailing, for instance. But we'll walk through some of the settings here. So again, this button worked because I did have the integration already active within my account. So if you don't have the integration and you try to click on that button to use, the integration, it will pop up as an error. So just keep that in mind. We'll go ahead and generate this order. As you can see here also, there is a note. Every single order to REI Printmail can only be about 4,500 records. Now, if you do plan on sending, let's say, more than 4,500 records, this is something that you would want to go ahead and create another order. So you can process the first order and keep it at this limit. Then whatever remaining records that you have, you'll then be able to go ahead and move forward. Now, also, what's going on now and what's great about the REI Printmail integration is that this CAS certification program that comes in will go ahead and scan all of the records that you have within your mailing that you're getting ready to send out. So probably your campaign. Now, during this process, it'll go ahead and review all the information with the actual information that's already available within the county. It's going to cross-check and make sure there's no errors or there's no mismatching information, and any records that are rejected during this time will go ahead and show a brief overview as to why they are rejected. So this does take some time to go ahead and process, but more about what we're talking about here would be this. So you're basically going to get a summary order screen that gives you a ton of information about the order. And again, what's great about this is it's being processed directly within the Investment Dominator. So it looks like most of my records here were rejected for some reason. So it's not good for this mailing, but it's good to see as an example, because essentially what's happening here is that we need to go ahead and make sure that we have all the information within our company information set up correctly. That'll be that's really used and it's needed to be able to generate an order through REI Printmail. So again, you'll just see a summary here. It'll be like successfully processed records, how many records were rejected, and then the details. You'll notice that when we're generating this order, we can click on each of these property IDs to be able to see exactly why the order was rejected or what information we can change. So I'll just show you this real quick. I'll click on the first property ID. This will bring you directly to the edit record screen, so you can go ahead and just be able to work on the information here that you need to get it done and finalized. So really at that point, what's going to happen is that you'll need to then go ahead and review the items that you're working on. So it'll go ahead and ask you to check every letter. I would recommend you check about 3 or 4 just to ensure that the formatting is correct how you want it, signatures are in place. And if there's any information you need to go ahead and work on, make sure you press the escape button to escape the integration, and then head back into your land dashboard to take care of anything you need to do. And also with the REI Printmail integration, just keep in mind that since this is an outside integration, you're going to need to process your payment each time you go ahead and use the integration. And every time you do that, you'll then be prompted with really an order ID so you can go ahead and track that order. Along with that, after you're done following all the steps of sending to REI Printmail, it's going to then ask you to bulk update your records. So this is an important feature that some students do miss, but right after you're done sending your mailing to whichever mailing house you do decide to go ahead and use, you need to basically take all the records that you had in that mailing, which were under the prospect status, and you need to send them to mailed letter 1. And again, you only want to do this after you send your mailing out, whether you're using ITI, whether you're using REI Printmail. Just as soon as you're done with that, always make sure you bulk update your records. Also, when you're using the REI Printmail integration, any rejected records that you didn't take care of, so for example, any rejected records you didn't send a mailing to, you'll notice that at the end, it'll ask you to bulk update those records, but this time it's going to move them to the skip trace status. So this is something you just want to keep in mind. If you have a let's say a mailing that you're doing and you have about 270 accepted records and let's say about like 4 or 5 rejected records, you would still want to go through with the mailing with the 270 that you have that are good, and you can fix the other 5 afterwards. So, this is really just a great integration that we think works in collaboration with our outside data service, and this is how you get through also the first 2 wizards that'll really introduce you into the Investment Dominator. All right, so at this point, we'll go ahead and see if we have any more questions. If you do have any questions about the demonstrations that we talked about or articles that you just want to go ahead and discuss further, we can go ahead and do that too. All right, so let's go ahead and see here. So there's a question here from Karen, and Karen's saying that she went ahead and went out and purchased about 2,000 leads, and when she goes ahead to generate the land documents, it says about 1748 records. And looks like she's getting she's getting that same error that we had where REI Printmail is rejecting her order of the 1480. So there's some good points in that question that you went ahead and sent in, Karen, and I want to go ahead and bring that up. So the first one is the fact that you purchased 2,000 leads, but you're heading into your system and you're only seeing about 1480. So normally, when you are going ahead and purchasing leads from a county, you're going to an outside service to go ahead and do this. What you could notice is that some of the records that you are getting within that document will go ahead and be owners with multiple properties. So this is what we're going to talk about really with the number difference there that you're seeing from what you purchased as to what's being imported into your system. So there's not really bad when we're talking about a situation like this, because even if we do have some owners with multiple properties, when we're going ahead and sending our mailing, the Investment Dominator will go ahead and make sure that we're sending each owner just one envelope. But let's say if there are about 6 or 7 properties under that one owner, what's going to happen is that we're just going to have one envelope, but then we're going to have 7 letters within that envelope, which will go ahead and cover all of the properties for that owner. And this is really to reduce spam. One thing that we want to go ahead and do is make sure we give a good impression. So we don't want to go ahead and spam the user that we're trying to talk about, potentially looking at their property. So now we have the other issue, Karen, with the part of your question, which has to deal with the rejected records from REI Printmail that message that you're getting. So I want you to go ahead and just verify. You'll go to customize and you'll go to company information. Now, when you get there, you need to make sure that you have all of this information set in stone and it is all working correctly. So for example, you want to make sure that you have the appropriate company city for your state and a matching zip code. So for example, I have Alabama here. Let's go ahead and change this to, let's put New York, and I'll just go ahead and update my site. All right, so just make sure you go through this and make sure all this information is done. You had mentioned that you're new to the program as well. So what we had talked about on our Monday call is really setting up our profile section, our company information, and our domains. The company information section here is going to be the most important also for your REI Printmail integration. And you'll need to have, so if you're getting a return state error, then you would go ahead and just come to your company information, make your company state the correct state there. All right. And just keep in mind, you do have the option to go ahead and send to ITI too, but if it's saying anything all right, so from what I'm getting now about your response, Karen, it seems like you might have to go into your records and check the addresses that you've imported to ensure that it's correct there. Now, something that should also have been explained, really just when you're importing the list, is that we'll go ahead here to our import. We're going to go to the user guide. We're going to type in the keyword import. If we come to this article here, how to import your land list, what you're going to see is that in order for you to go ahead and import the correct information for your list, you're going ahead and you're purchasing a list outside of the Investment Dominator, and that list that you're going ahead and importing, you'll need to make sure that you have the correct names and the correct fields here. So just to give you an example of what we're talking about, we'll head back to the Investment Dominator. We're going to go to land. We're going to go to import. We're also going to come down here. You'll see upload your formatted CSV file. Directly under that, we have the sample list. So the sample list is something that we really recommend, especially if you are purchasing a list from outside the Investment Dominator. This will go ahead and be the correct format that you need to import to the Investment Dominator. So for example, if you're having some information which is not adding up correctly on your, let's say your list that you got, you'll just need to take that information off the list that you purchased and then put this done here in the correct format so you can have this updated. Now, with this also being said, if you have that list that you went ahead and updated, let's say you have your finished list with however many records you're working on, what you're going to want to do is again, just make sure the column names are correct, but this time instead of when you're importing your records. So again, this is if you have the records already in your system, and let's say if you have to make a correction. So in this case, you would have to change the state information and make that correct. What you would do is you would go to your CSV file, update all the information that you need to do, then you'll save it, you'll come back to the Investment Dominator, and you're just going to, this time, instead of create new records, you're going to choose update existing records. Now, if you're just working out with these records and they're all in the prospect status, you don't have to worry about checking this option for don't update status. But let's say if this is happening for all the records that you're working on, what you're going to need to go ahead and do is bulk update that, change all the information. When you do update existing records this time, you'll go ahead and upload that. Any record with the matching information will go ahead and be updated with the appropriate state that you're going ahead and working on, or any other additional information too. So this will be kind of your next point of what you need to do before you can go ahead and send out that mailing. All right, and really, if you have any more questions about that, definitely reach out to Ticket Support so we can go ahead and process that for you directly. All right. So let's see. We have another question here. Question here from Christopher Miles. So the question goes, would you go through that same process of adding a photo to your custom document to insert your company logo onto the letter? So good question. And I believe that was when we were talking about our demonstration for the two signatures. So yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the custom documents again. We'll go ahead to customize, and then I'll just go to my custom documents. All right, so now what we're going to go ahead and do here is that we're going to go ahead and enter in our document. So for example, I think I have this one here. This is a document that I worked on. This is a custom neutral letter with a logo. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this. All right, so what you're going to see down below is that I have a couple of logos down here. So there's quite a few different ways to go ahead and add a logo to the Investment Dominator, let's say in terms of a custom document. Now, what I can say is that I might want to open up a tab here. If I go to my customize section and I go to my, let's say, buying site settings, you're going to see that I have this logo here. Now, so there's a couple ways to do this. You can upload a buying site logo and as well as a selling site logo. So I have two different ones here. And if you upload these, both of these are able to be put into your letter using a merge field. So for example, I have buying logo here, and if I make another space, and let's say I insert the merge field, I want to go ahead and put my selling logo here. I'll do that, just like that. And then I'll go ahead and document preview. Now, when I'm clicking on document preview, I'm going to go ahead and see. So this is my buying site logo. This is my selling site logo. And this one here is just my signature. All right, so you do have that option. But the route that I see a lot of students take is instead of using, let's say, they'll probably keep the signature, but they'll remove all of those. And what they'll do is just add an image here. So this is also another option you can do. So you just want to be careful when you're editing this document. Make sure you're not under source. Make sure you're under the actual document here. Just for reference, when you click on source, all these other options will be grayed out, and you're going to see code here. This is what you don't want to edit. You want to click on this and make sure that you're in the correct screen here. And basically what you're going to do is come down below right here, which is where we would have our merge field, which would have our logos. Instead, we're going to go ahead and attach an image. So we'll click right up at the top, and what we're going to do is click on this icon. If you hover over it long enough, it should say image. We'll click that, and we'll need to then upload an image. So there's two options to do this. If you have your image as a link, you can go ahead and do that. We definitely recommend that you go ahead and actually upload the file though. So I'm going to go ahead and upload. I will use just my signature for this, just showing you that you can. Well, let me see if I have another image here. I believe all my images might be too big for this. Let's say, all right, so I have logos here. This is the ones that I already had for my buying and selling site. I'll go ahead and add them anyway. So what you're doing is you're choosing the file here. As soon as you see the name for your file, make sure that you click send it to server, and then you'll get that prompt here with our logo. So again, this is where you will edit your settings, and you'll just change the formatting for however you like. You know, if you want it bigger, you can go ahead and do that. If you want it smaller, you can do that as well here. And you'll see that it's really locked by screen ratio. So if you click this unlock button, what you're going to see is that now these numbers don't automatically calculate. So I can go ahead and do something like this, or, you know, make it more adjustable, however you'd want. And if that does Like, let's say if you just get it and you don't really like it, you can just go back to locking it here, and that'll just adjust based off of each other. All right, so besides that, you'll just say okay when you're done. And again, you can really upload anything here, but the main purpose that you want to go ahead and focus on is that your page remains at one page. So sometimes when you have a signature followed by another image that you want to go ahead and add that really identifies your company, you'll just need to be sure that you don't start leading onto the second page because that will drive up the cost of your mailing as well. All right, so hopefully that helps. Let's see. This looks like we got another question here. This question is more related to how to go ahead and upgrade my website, make it more custom. Would we have to go through Investment Dominator, or can I hire a third party? So this question was sent in anonymous, but great question. What I can say about that is if we go ahead here, I'm going to click out of these custom document screens. I'm going to head back to the dashboard. Now, we're going to go ahead and open up the user guide. Again, if you don't remember how to get there, you could go help and user guide. And what we're going to do is search for a specific article. So first we'll talk about the buying site, and then we'll go ahead and talk about the selling site. So for instance, we'll start here with the buying site as a keyword. We're going to get this article here, how to create your own custom buying site theme. Now, what's great about this is that we have these 4 theme options available, which you can go ahead and test and use to see, if they're a fit for you. One of them that I definitely recommend for you all right now is this one here, Land Gen. It's definitely a great one to go ahead and work on. And I'll show you an example of this. So essentially, what you're going to see up here in this little brief as well on this article is that we go ahead and provide you with the legacy theme as well as the 2.0 theme. And also, we have these themes available on this article. But ultimately, if you wanted to go outside to another developer, you can go to a website that we recommend called Fiverr or Upwork.com. And essentially, what you're doing is you're going ahead and you're informing them that you want to go and upgrade your site. So you would create a custom theme like one of these options here. And what we recommend is that you also download this and send them this file so that they can just kind of work on this as well as having this article. This article breaks down for the developer really everything that you need to tell them to work on and begin to check, as well as make sure that they have created so that they can import directly into the Investment Dominator. So, and again, this is some of the merge fields here that we're talking about, but what you would basically do is you would click that download button to come back to the theme, to download the theme. You'll come to your Investment Dominator, and then you'll need to go ahead and go to the appropriate site settings. So in this case, that would be the buying site settings. Now, when you click on that, you're going to see here that, again, we just have our legacy and our 2.0 options, but you're going to want to have that new custom theme. So since you see this downloaded file here, essentially what you're going to be doing is just clicking on this upload custom theme. You'll go to your downloads, and you should see the file right here in a zip format. You'll basically just need to click onto this and open it, and then the theme will now be present in your system. So for example, this would be the Land Gen theme here. I'll go ahead and update my site and just show you. All right, so I'll check it, buying site, and we'll see it here. So we still got, the same buying site logo that I went ahead and created, but now we have a website that is really well done, and we'll see a video down below as well, which will go ahead and have our new offer request form, and you'll see our additional pages that we have as well here too. So this is just one of the themes that you can go ahead and have. As you'll see here, we have some more options. I can click on to the red-black theme here. Now, one thing I also want to highlight is that when you're clicking on each of these themes, you're going to see this blue kind of this blue glow outside of the image. This is going to let you know that you've selected the image here, and also that it's the current theme that you have in place. So just make sure that once you do choose your theme, you go down below and you update your site directly after. All right, so now let's take a look at the red black. I'll come back to my buying site here. All right, and this is the red black theme here. So we do have a couple of options for you to go ahead and start working with that buying site. We do have one option as well for the selling site too, which you can go ahead and choose from. Just for your information to how to get to that article, you can just type in selling site, and then you're going to go ahead and see that pop up, which should be here, this article here, how to create your own custom opt-in page selling site theme. And we have this one that's available. You'll just download that and you'll be good to go. All right, so let's see if there's any more questions that just came up. Let's see. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any more questions that's coming up. If you do have anything about anything that we worked on, you can go ahead and submit that in the chat. I would like to talk about our topic that we mentioned before about importing to the Investment Dominator, specifically using the outside data service integration. I'm going over here to land and import, and you'll notice that if you scroll down to the bottom, this section here is called past imports. You're going to see all the past imports that you've done to your Investment Dominator, and you'll see just a type field here. So for example, if you imported using CSV, you'll see that. If you imported by using the data, outside data service integration, you'll also see that here. And also, you'll see, the timestamp of when you last uploaded it on, when it was completed, and you'll see here details. Now, if you click on details, what you're going to notice is that this is going to give you the exact detailed report of your outside data service integration. So what we're going to also highlight here is that if we hover over the 15 rows and we click on this number, we'll be able to pull up our activity log. So the activity log is really important when you're using the Investment Dominator because you want to go ahead and ensure that you can properly locate your records, as well as make sure if anybody on your team is working on this, you'll be able to search for that too. So one thing that I did want to bring up is that for every transaction that you would do, so this would be importing from either CSV or from using the outside data service integration, what you're going to see are these numbers here. And this is going to be a good way for you to go ahead and locate records after you've really imported them into your system. So we're going to see, for example, I have, let's see, this first number here, as well as the last number. Let's go ahead and do it. So 10, let's see, 100, 314. All right. So essentially, where you'll go ahead and see that number sign followed by that long series of numbers, this is going to actually show us the exact property ID for the records that we've imported. So if I were to take this number and come back to my Investment Dominator, I would go to Land and Dashboard. I would then do Search By, and I would click on Property ID Range. Now, again, as soon as you see that number system that number symbol pop up, that's where you're going to go ahead and start recording the number to be able to track it within your system. So in this case, I'll go ahead and enter that now. All right, and when I hit search, this will be all the records that I imported just now from that data tree import. And another way that we can go ahead and verify that is by looking at the tags as well of what we just created. So this is a good way to just, not only just have a backup for how you would find this data, but again, enforcing tags so that you can keep track, but also keep in mind that this property ID number is something that you will be able to pull up in your activity log for you to look and find up later. All right, so besides that, hopefully that helped you. Looks like we have another question here from Timothy, more along the lines of setting up the website. So he's saying, when I set up my website's an ID, I tried to go to my website from GoDaddy and I cannot see my sites. I've typed in the domain names and the sites are not found or coming up. So this is something that you definitely want to go ahead and send over in a ticket specifically, Timothy, just to kind of work this through. But I will say that if you went ahead and searched through our user guide, since you mentioned that you're using GoDaddy, we can go ahead and use this article here to be able to set up your domain. And if you've already went through this process, just make sure that especially when we get to the CNAME record, make sure that you have all the appropriate settings that you need here, as well as for your forwarding. And again, make sure they're exactly the same so that you can ensure that there's no errors on your part. And basically, at this point, you have a couple of points that you need to keep in mind. So for example, if you just bought this domain and you're trying to set it up for the Investment Dominator, just keep in mind that there is about a 24-hour to 48-hour response. So you'll need to just give it some time before the websites do actually show and properly generate. And also, one thing you want to keep in mind too is that you might just need to go ahead and go into your Investment Dominator, and I'll demonstrate that here. We'll go to, let's say, selling site settings. And if you notice that, you're doing all the steps correctly and you've went ahead and done, everything that you needed to do to set up your domain, but it's still not registering and you still waited to 24 hours and it's still not there, there is a possibility that you might just need to go ahead and reset your domain. So essentially what you would do is just go ahead and take your domain just like this. You'll copy it from the www part following your domain. You'll click on to change your domain and you're just going to put the same exact domain name there. Now you're just going to refresh this process so that you'll be able to reset the domain, and this basically ensures that if your settings were correct and everything is good on your part, but maybe you just needed a reset on the Investment Dominator, after you're done with this process, then you'll go ahead and see that your domain is up and running again. But if you still go through this step and then you notice afterwards that it's still not working for you, that's definitely something you want to go ahead and communicate in a ticket to us, just so that we'll be able to take a closer look at your domain. All right, so hopefully that did help you. And again, definitely follow up with us so that we can go ahead and make sure you have that all set up. All right, so without further ado, we do have a little quote that I want to end with here today. The quote is from Jimmy Johnson, and the quote goes, "The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra." And I really like this quote because when you think about just your business compared to, let's say, other land businesses that are also using the Investment Dominator, one thing that will really set you apart is getting that personalization. So making sure that you have, your good selling site domains or your buying site domain as well too, but as well as just kind of going that extra mile to add a logo or just really have something that brings out your business and makes your letters stand out. Those little differences will go ahead and really be communicated out to those prospects that you're trying to reach. And they're going to notice that. They're going to really kind of differentiate that from the rest of the group. So just keep in mind that how creative you want to get with your business is really all up to you. But go ahead and just find some things that really personify and embody what you want to represent your business, because once you build that, you'll build up your brand and you'll really see a transformation in what you're experiencing. But all right, so have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thanks again for joining, and we'll go ahead and see you on Monday.